Well, I grew up in Tunica, Mississippi, in the Mississippi Delta, North Mississippi, which was certainly a learning experience. Got into radio in the Mississippi Delta, got into TV in Greenville, Mississippi, went and spent 15 years in southern Indiana in TV, and then ended up back here in Mobile because I wanted to come back south and go to the beach. Oh, the business. Well, I've been in radio since I was 14. I got my FCC third class endorsed license when I was 14, and apparently a radio station in Clarksdale, Mississippi needed some weekend help, so they hired me to do that. And the rest, as they say, is kind of history. I ended up in radio in Greenville, Mississippi at some point along with going to college, and started working there. And then they started up a small market television station in Greenville. There were only two stations there. This was the new station, and they needed some help. So they hired me as a weekend sports anchor and reporter, and finally made me their main anchor when the other guy got fired. Well, it's a great market. It's a great place to be because it is, I mean, it's the Gulf Coast, and I love the beach and all of the things the Gulf Coast has to offer. But the people are really nice. It's just a hospitable environment. But I always wanted to be here because, I used to come down here to vacation when I was growing up with family and friends. We'd come down here, sneak off from school on a weekend, and drive down to the beach. So it's just kind of always been kind of a home away from home. Well, like who doesn't want to be an actor? Um, what's the old saying? What's the old song? Could have been an actor, but I wound up here. But yeah, they started making movies around here. I've always had an interest in that, and I have a local agent who actually casts some of those movies, and she asked me about it, and I said sure, and I did some auditions and got a couple of roles. So that was fun. I am the admiral toward the end of the USS Indianapolis Men of Courage movie. I was also in a Scott Lumpkin movie that was directed by Mike Flanagan and is the movie of a Stephen King novel called Gerald's Game. And I know it's a stretch, but I play a reporter in that movie. Well, I've always been interested in writing and have done it most of my entire life. Over the past couple of decades, I finally got around to trying to pen the great American novel. I have two of them out right now: The Ghost of Henry Cotton, and another one called Kill Room, which is kind of based loosely on some investigative reporter experiences. And I've got a sequel to that one coming out called Deadline. Should be out in the next weeks or maybe a couple of months. Well, I mean, it's pretty chill. Actually, my wife is a fashion commercial photographer. She's pretty well known around town. My son Jack is just graduated from computer science and is working his way into doing all the things the kids do now. The computers and stuff. He's real big into websites and networking and all of that good stuff. He does a little bit of everything, and I do all the yard work. Thanks. I think this is it. I grew up watching Memphis news. I almost never missed the Memphis newscasts. And so all of those people up in the Memphis area, the people who were on local TV, I knew, and I always thought that would just be such a great job. That's kind of why I got into radio, because I always thought radio was such a cool thing too. And it turns out all of this has been really cool. It's not like a real job. I plan to be here, I guess, as long as WKRG will have me here. I'd like to, at some point, kind of relinquish all this just so like anybody else, you have all the time on your hands, because I do want to write more books. And that's kind of where my mindset is right now. I've always supported, again, the Memphis connection. I've always supported St. Jude's, the St. Jude Hospital in Memphis. How about that? Does that work?